Terry McLaurin is sort of at Commander's camp, right? Can you be there and not be there at the same time? He's there, he's not practicing, he's on the physically unable to perform list. What he's performing is the now popular hold in, which is a very, I think, effective manner of negotiating if you are a player, as he comes off 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. So, Graz, you are now there on the ground. What can you tell us about McLaurin?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's out practicing. They moved practice up an hour early today. He's not out there. So continuing to hold in, continuing to try and make the point that he wants more money. His agent has been around, but there really has not been any progress on a deal, as I understand it, since McLaurin got here. And you know, he wants to be paid like a top wide receiver. Feels like he has been here through some tough times, been the good soldier, deserves to be rewarded. And the Commanders would agree with him. It's just they differ on the number, because this is a player who's, you know, going to be 30 years old. And teams are hesitant once you reach that mark to guarantee money out in future years. We're seeing it in Cincinnati with Trey Hendrickson. Washington's also got some big extensions coming up in the next couple of off seasons. You look at guys like a Frankie Louvu, who's a key part of their defense, maybe a Deron Payne, and then of course a couple years down the road there's a Jaden Daniels extension that's coming. So I think they're trying to manage their budget and be sensible, and right now he feels like they're being a little less sensible in terms of what he's worth than he thinks.
Graz, stay with us in the conversation here. Let me turn to Schefter. Here's another one. Like we opened the show today with you saying, Greeny, not so fast, it's not easy for Micah Parsons in Dallas. Here's another one that I thought, as camp began, oh, they'll figure this out. Right. He's such an important part of what they're doing with the young quarterback, and they have the quarterback on the rookie deal. But Dan is telling us, and you have told me, this one's not that simple either.
This is a tricky deal to do, and we can explain it to you in a couple of different ways. Terry McLaurin's been a great receiver. That is not in question. And if you compare him to a receiver from his draft class who got paid this offseason, DK Metcalf gets traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh. There are the numbers. McLaurin has more receiving yards. He has more touchdowns. DK is scheduled to make $33 million this year. I can't imagine that Terry McLaurin would be willing to accept any less than that. That is the DK Metcalf comparison. This past week, Cortland Sutton of the Denver Broncos, who's been a great receiver in Denver, gets a deal done at $24 million a year, which is the same number that Mike Evans got. So is Terry McLaurin more DK Metcalf, or is he more Cortland Sutton and Mike Evans? That's up for the two sides to figure out. The price of receivers has gone up. Yeah. Terry McLaurin is factoring that into his negotiation. He's been a stellar player and a great citizen in the community. That's valuable too. He also has gotten 2 other contracts. This would be his 3rd at age 30. And so that, I think, gives the Commanders some pause, which is why it makes it a difficult deal to do.
An interesting note, for whatever it's worth, while he was in the same draft class as DK Metcalf, he is, I think, 2 years older.
2.5 years older.
2.5 years older than DK, whatever. I mean, I'm on his side. I love the player.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. When we make a list, I feel like, RC, when we sit down to make a list of the best receivers in the game, his name doesn't go on it.
Agreed.
But then you look at the numbers and you look at the effectiveness and you say to yourself, we overlooked him. His name should have been on it. So how do you see this thing?
It's a feeling, though, that you get, right? It's a feeling that when you watch Jamar Chase, even though we've only really seen him play with Joe Burrow outside of his injuries, it's like, I know what that dude is. The same thing with the Justin Jefferson. And even in watching DK Metcalf, it's not just about his number. It's the physicality in which he plays with. It's the imposing being that he is. And so for Terry McLaurin, it's where do you fit in there? Do they feel like your skill set translates to that sort of money? When you look at Cortland Sutton, no matter what the numbers are, when you think about what he means to Bo Nix and what he accomplished, you say, okay, that's a great number for the Denver Broncos to do a contract. I think the Washington Commanders feel like Terry McLaurin is closer to that than what DK Metcalf is. He's closer to that than what A.J. Brown is. And so I do believe the difficulty for Terry and his agent is that they're looking at the black and white, right? If you're Adam Peters, if you're Dan Quinn, you probably are not looking at the black and white. You're looking at what you do for our team as opposed to the rest of those players. And I think that's where they feel Terry falls, but he's a major piece of what this offense does.
And we all agree with that. And here's the issue. They're not making progress in Washington. They're not making progress in Dallas. They're not making progress in Cincinnati. And I can tell you that the rest of the league is watching what's going on in all of these cities. And they're wondering, when do we try to swoop in and try to see if we can get this player in a trade? Again, nobody ever thinks that. Khalil Mack at one point, when he was with the Raiders said, he's our guy. We want him to finish his career here. We have no intention of trading him. And then lo and behold, when it was a knockdown, drag-out battle all summer and they hadn't made progress, in September, the week before the opener, we saw a trade. Would that happen with any of these three players? It is not anything that their teams are thinking about today. It's a long way from happening later on, but it's a question that I think you have to ask yourself if these situations in all three places continue to be at a stalemate, which they're currently at what point does one of these teams say, you know what?
We're done.
Let's listen to see what we can do.
I move that we have Schefter here every day. Domonique, jump in.
They're supposed to be, they're going to use that against you. And now the numbers are where they're supposed to be, and then they're going to use just reputation or your age or something like that against you. I think we understand that the negotiations happen in the context of everything else, and you have to compare these things. However, in Washington's situation, they really only needed to be focused on them. They have a quarterback in Jaden Daniels who's very special, and the most unique thing about him is throwing the deep ball. Deep ball accuracy is his thing. That's what makes him incredibly tough to defend. You know who caught almost all of those passes last year?
McLaurin?
Terry McLaurin. And they don't have somebody on that roster that could do that. And you're now in that first kind of Super Bowl window when you have a great quarterback under a rookie deal. Like, they really, it seems silly for me if I'm Terry's agent or I'm Terry to listen to them and say, but this guy over there got this guy over there got that. No, we're here right now. Are we making a run or not? Pay me what you owe me.
So what's the fair number, Neek? What's the fair number?
I think the DK is a good one to go off of. But, I mean, it always comes down to guarantees. I think given the fact that we have the Jaden Daniels situation, they should front load the contract and make sure the first 2 years are guaranteed. Maybe Terry McLaurin falls off when he gets into his 30s, but you're going to get a good version of Terry McLaurin for the next 2 years. Front load the contract and get an exit after 3.
Graziano.
Yeah, and this is a key thing to remember, and I'm sure Adam knows this too, that there's a split in the league in terms of teams that are okay with where the wide receiver market has gone and teams that really kind of aren't. And look at the DK Metcalf example. This is a guy they liked in Seattle, but the price on him, the contract he was going to want, is beyond what they thought he was worth, or maybe even what they thought any wide receiver might be worth. So he ends up getting traded. Now, I'm not saying Washington is in that camp, but there are some teams that would probably be willing to compensate Terry McLaurin at a higher level than Washington has been so far. I don't get the sense that they're interested in trading him, but Adam makes an interesting point. That gets to the issue of how different teams see this differently. Pittsburgh was willing to give DK Metcalf $33 million a year. Seattle didn't want to talk about it.
And sometimes when you're inside the building, people don't see your value in that way. It's when
you have to get traded to get that value.
It's when there's a team that's watching your film or a team that's preparing for you, and they have this extremely high thought of you, right? And they think that you are one of those players. You are someone that can come in and make an impact. You can change our young quarterback the way you helped the young quarterback in Washington. Then those are sometimes the deals that can be brokered between agents and teams and say, okay, we can get him that money that DK Metcalf got. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the discussions continue for Terry McLaurin, because to me, it's an impossibility to tell him to take less than DK Metcalf when he understands his impact and the numbers bear it.
Okay, so if he's not taking less than DK Metcalf, let's also play this out. And let's say he gets more than DK Metcalf. Justin Jefferson is at 35. Has Terry McLaurin been a better wide receiver than Justin Jefferson?
No, he's the best. Justin Jefferson is the best.
And that's where Washington's like, well, we're not going to Justin Jefferson.
And we also have to say, though, like there's inflation with
There
the
is.
years, right? Like
Right.
the numbers have changed.
The price of wide receivers this year is
going up.
increased a lot.
Yeah, and so and I think that's the other piece of it. If you're Terry McLaurin and you're his agent, and when Adam Peters says, but you're not worth more than Justin Jefferson, and you can say, I'm not worth more than Justin Jefferson today, but he didn't sign his deal yesterday. And so there's so many nuances that go into this, and I think that's why you get into these hold-in type of situations.
Nick, finish it up quickly. Go ahead.
You don't got a chance at Justin Jefferson. Like, negotiations is about leverage. What's your option right now? If I don't show up, who are you throwing those go routes to? It ain't going to be damn Justin Jefferson. So, like, that's what I understand. You want to bring into all these other players who could be here, who could be that. I'm not as good as him. I'm not as good as that. We got a chance to make a run right now. You're not throwing go routes to Deebo Samuel. I'm sorry. Like, Deebo's an awesome receiver, but that's not the type of player that he is. It just seems silly that they're in this argument trying to make comparisons to these other players that they don't have a chance at getting. Right now you're stealing from Jaden Daniels. Give that money right to Terry McLaurin until you have to pay Jaden Daniels. It seems like unbelievable that they're in a situation that they could possibly enter this season without the best receiver that they have for this young quarterback.
Now that sounds like a man who would be an excellent choice.
I totally agree. I co-sign that for sure.